Ladies and gentlemen, I say it without flinching. Communism in Eastern Europe, Russia, China, Mongolia, North Korea, and Cuba brought land reform and human services, a dramatic bettering of the living conditions of hundreds of millions of people on a scale never before or never since witnessed in human history. And that's something to appreciate. Communism transformed desperately poor countries into societies in which everyone had adequate food, shelter, medical care, and education. And some of us who come from poor families, who carry around the hidden injuries of class, are very impressed by these achievements and are not willing to dismiss them as economistic. To say that socialism doesn't work is to overlook the fact that it did work, and it worked for hundreds of millions of people.
Welcome to another episode of the Nick and CJ Show. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
What's poppin'? What's going on, my friends, my family? Good to be here with CJ. Every Monday, there's always a ton to talk about, so it's good to be here.
Yeah, it is a lot. I had a dentist appointment, and I was making a list of topics of things, and I was just like, I don't know how am I gonna pick which one to talk about. But luckily,
I had to jump on with JB yesterday just because I had I gotta talk about one of these stories because we don't got enough time. There's so much crazy stuff that's going on.
Yeah, that reminds me that I saw that Andrew Yang stream, and that is another story we wasn't even going to be able to conclude today, but yeah. I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, I want to start with this because obviously we talk about a lot of crazy stuff that's going on, and obviously a lot of people ask for solutions, and we having discussions about actually forming grassroots and mutual aid organization. I'm proud of my brother CJ, Rome, JB, and Savvy. You got something you start in LA. Do you want to talk about that for a second, CJ?
Yeah. Actually, good you brought that up. So we it's just LA is just the first tweet. I'm already preparing to send out the KC tweet, the Boston tweet, just to get things rolling. I feel like we've been talking about chapters, and we're not quite there yet to officially launch that. But this is kind of the prerequisite. So this is kind of the pre-chapter sort of thing. So I want to start this community outreach in LA. We're getting good response. I probably got
at least reach out to me after your tweet, like, yo, I'm in LA.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
And Sabby, I think she released a video today or maybe later of her on the ground doing.
Yeah, yesterday. It was yesterday. I saw it.
We had a tour for the poor in Kansas City, and we're expanding on that. We're gonna have, I don't know what exactly we're gonna call it yet, but like RBN Kansas City tour for the poor.
Yeah,
we already got like an army of people from last time who were just itching to help, and we moved. So we gave away thousands of diapers on that day, and the community response was incredible. And I feel this is an opportunity to bring people together. And then when I was having conversations with people asking why we're doing this, I'm like, this is where you take mutual aid and use it as a tool for education. So I'm like, yo, times are tough. And you say that, and then people immediately know what you're talking about. Like, the people are like, why are you doing this? Why are you out there feeding homeless? I'm like, times tough, man. The system is corrupt. We need to take care of each other. I said that to a few people, and immediately they're like, hell yeah, amen. And I drop it from there. I don't have to get too political. I'll just say that, and I'll leave it from there, and then we keep moving. And then that just planting the seeds. So we already had our first event. So we're doing we're gonna actually launch an organization. Already had a ton of people in Kansas City that's gonna help with that. So I'm sorry about that. And I want to share this because I want to continue to influence this community. This is the best part about having a platform.
Let me tell people this before you say that, because since we're on it, email us if you're interested in participate. Now we're gonna ask this for every city that we're launching the community outreach. So this is just for LA right now. So if you're in LA, in or around LA, any of the surrounding counties, Riverside County, Ventura County, Orange County, email us. If you're interested, put in the subject line LARBN. Now, that's not going to be the chapter name. We know that for sure. But for right now, we're gonna just use this right now. This is not for chapters. This is for community outreach. But that I feel like this is gonna roll into a chapter. So in the subject line, put LARBN, and we're already getting this started. Zoya, I saw Zoya saying she's gonna be down in there. So we're gonna have a strong team in LA. So if you're in LA or any of the surrounding cities, Long Beach will be in a lot because I know Long Beach because I went, part of my schooling is in Long Beach. I went to college in Long Beach. So if you're in any of these surrounding areas, email us, put that in the subject line, and we'll get you a part of the LA outreach team.
Remember the segment? We did this segment a long time ago where we was telling you guys what German education says about the United States, and they said the United States is a country filled with a bunch of lonely individuals and constant competition. And it's a lonely, and that's how they view it. Like, we got this American socialism. Meanwhile, everyone else looking at society in horror, like, what the? There's American propaganda.
That is so true. That's so true.
A lot of people did fall for it. Like the Margaret Thatcher era, a lot of people fought for U.S. exceptionalism back then. But now we got massive communication. And people seeing what's going on over here.
Yeah, they not falling for that shit no more.
They're like, what the hell? We thought Americans were looking good. Yeah. And I remember that what our sister Josana said. She said she said this many times on the show. She said when she was in Brazil, she was like, death to America, death to Americans. And then she went to America. She's like, oh my God, you guys are victims. She said, I didn't realize that you guys are victims of your government too.
They think we're living high on the hog, as they say in the South. That's what they think. We're living high on the hog in other countries. I mean, I've been to Colombia. I've been to Germany. Germany in particular, they didn't have the what? Ain't nobody want to move to the United States. Have you seen how terrible? Have you seen how terrible it is? Hell no, we don't want. I mean, what and I was in Colombia in the ghettos, I guess you would say, of Colombia, which is like rural and black and African. I was in those places in Colombia. Even them people, they were like, I'm not trying to go to the United States at all. You would think you hear like everybody doesn't know. It's a lot of people that knows what's actually going on here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that was Putin was saying, and Lula said the same thing. And remember, Sister, we did a segment on this. Why you guys think they never show you guys what their number one enemy never says? Like, you would think with their Putin derangement syndrome, they would constantly show what he's saying.
Yeah,
they would constantly show what Trump is saying because he was a buffoon, right? But you have Putin that he gave a speech where he's like, Americans, he want you guys to think that I'm your enemy, but it's the ruling class that's stealing from you, that looting. And if you guys watch our channel, you guys know that is true. Like, it's not Putin that is locking up 1/4 of the world's prison population. It's not Putin that illegally foreclosed on homes of the black community that tanked our wealth. And that is what the Uhuru African Socialist Party in Florida was saying. And the FBI raided them. That's a story we're going to get to later. But that's the United States cracking down on dissent. That's not Putin doing that to us. That's the FBI raiding us. It's the CIA that has been waging war against left and workers. It's the police, the American police, that's cracking our heads, not Putin. And then you have Lula da Silva saying the same thing. Lula from Brazil. He's saying it's unbelievable that Biden in the U.S. is taking the United States taxpayer money and giving it to Ukraine. Yeah. He said, why you guys have a baby formula shortage? That is what Lula's saying. And so everyone around the world is looking around the U.S. like, you guys have an insane government.
And we think we're so smart. And just thinking about our this is our family, it's our backyard. So we just going to be honest here. We are pretty stupid. Like, when it comes to that, like, we are willingly stupid because we know we can research this stuff. We know we can research this stuff, Nick. This is not hidden information that we talk about. This is not at all hidden. Like, it's literally been written about. It's literally at your fingertips. Literally, you just have to type it out. But before we move on, let's make sure and you can read that. Let's make sure we like the stream. You can put that back up there. Let's make sure we like the stream. We're at about 100 likes, but we're at 200 people viewing. Can we push that to at least 175? Let's get some more people in here before we get deep into our segments. And Nick, you want to go ahead and read this super chat?
Thank you for 499 MJ. Yo, what's up, y'all? I hate y'all ideas and disagree with you. on 95%, but I respect your honesty. Honesty. Nice go team. I do on the right. Nice peppering on you. Well, I appreciate the super chat, and I'm glad that, well, at least you willing to listen to people you disagree with. I don't know what there is to disagree with. We have an unapologetic working class position. So do you support the elites? Do you support war? Like that? That's just my question. I just want to throw out there. I don't know what the disagreement is about. Should we have endless corporate rule? Should we have the dictatorship of corporations? Where's the disagreement? So let us know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, PJ.
But I also want to say this speaks to RBN's rawness and honesty, because people are interested in knowing other people's point of views. They just not interested in you battering them over the head and like being like a door-to-door religious salesperson. That's not what we're just unapologetically honest, and people appreciate that, even if you disagree. Just like I say, I'd rather a person who's a racist tell me up front I'm a racist and break all your ideology down. I prefer that than somebody who's smiling in my face like Joe Biden while he's signing the 1994 crime bill. You get what I'm saying? Like, I prefer a person, I give him way more respect because he's up front saying, listen, we ain't going to agree. I hate niggas too. I hate Jews and niggas, okay? But I'm telling you up front, I hate Jews and niggas, and this is you get what I'm saying? I respect that a whole lot more than a person who's pretending to be my friend. So I just want to speak to
I just want to say one thing, and then we can move on. He said for individual responsibility and not for community. I will argue that is anti-human, that is anti-history. And also, your individual responsibility is for your community. What else is there for you to live for than taking care of your family and your community? So what you're saying doesn't
sounds like a libertarian. That line sounds like a libertarian.
Life philosophy that seems like a very miserable way to live. Your responsibility, my pride is taking care of my brothers and my sisters and my neighbors. Like when we have our cookout at RBN, it was an amazing time. We spread happiness. We spread joy. Why live in what reason is there to live other than that? So that's my only question. And we don't have to argue those straight.
No, we're not going to belabor. We're not belaboring the point by I don't think talking about it. And I don't think we're attacking, or I'm not attacking this person because they're here listening, and we want people like this to be here listening. Yeah, I do think it's interesting. But what I do want to say is that people with this individual belief, individual response, this is just clearly capitalist conditioning. So people like this, I don't even blame for their point of view, because it's literally what you're taught from birth. It's literally what you're taught from birth. And it's a lot of people who buy into this. It's a lot of people who buy into it because they've been conditioned to believe this. It is very key to selling capitalism to people who aren't benefiting from it. You get what I'm saying? It's like you're there because I made some bad decisions. Yeah, it was me. It was me, it was me doing this, taking this promotion instead of doing that. It was all on me. It not at all had anything to do where the school I went to, and the fact that, a couple of my uncles were sent to prison for, multiple decades. None of that had anything to do with it. So it's that sort of conditioning that you never blame the system. You never blame the system. That is capitalism. I will
never understand that.
It's capitalism. You never blame the system for the position you're in. You never. So go ahead. Go ahead with that super chat. Then we can get into the to the
and this is the perfect transition to if you look at the super chat. Thank you for the $5, Martin. Damn, now you got me hating on breaking points. I do watch them now and then and know the contradictions, but I am more in line with y'all. And I said this before, and I said this when I criticize other people. I'm not asking you guys to cancel people. That's never been. I never made a video where like you guys should cancel your subscription, unsubscribe. I lay out substantive disagreements because I think it's interesting policy debate. We about to talk about the Taiwan video from Breaking Points because it's interesting. And now I want you guys to understand the point of view.
That video's terrible.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. That video's terrible.
No, I'm not asking you guys to cancel anyone. I'm just wanting you guys to know where RBN stands in relation to other media, because media critique is interesting and it allows for political discussion and education, in my opinion. So go ahead, CJ. And then
I think that this speaks to it. I think this speaks to people understand hearing leftist ideology
Yes.
for the first time.
Yes.
And then they're going, wait a minute. I was listening to TYT. I was listening to the majority. This shit don't sound the same, like y'all talking about the same shit, the same point of view, but they call themselves leftists. And I was down for them, but how your guys are describing it at RBN way more fits what we're talking about at my house. So I listened to them a little bit because they still got some good points, but you guys are really speaking the language that represents what we're talking about.
There are levels to this shit, man. There are levels to what it means to resist empire and what it means to be on left. I mean, you had the Social Democrats, you had the Noam Chomskys, then you had the Michael Prentis and Fred Hamptons. That's when you see how it escalates really fast, and that's what we have. I'm not even saying these people are not left. Some of these people we criticize are left, but they are still to our right. And I think every single position I have, I can back up, and you guys can see the difference between people who are unapologetically, at least what I call myself personally, Marxist, right? And see our opinions compared to people who have a more Western chauvinist, more capitalistic view of the world. And I think that's why we've grown so much, and despite us only being a year old. But with that said, we can start with the main story. We're about 20 minutes in. So that's I'm gonna start with that. If you watch Breaking Points, once again, I'm not telling you guys to cancel these people, but we are the furthest left media, and I've been very open that I am an agent of chaos that is here to probe the Overton window. And every position I have, I think is well researched. I think about stuff all the time. If I reach an ideological roadblock and I realize something's wrong, I'll readjust. Like that's, for example, like back when I used to like Barack Obama. Then I hear Dr. Cornel West say he's Rockefeller Republican. I'm like, oh, okay, that means I miscalculated and I adjust. That's what I do, and that's how I've reached my positions. Anyone want to chime in before I move on to the story, CJ?
No, you're just. It feels like you're just kind of piggybacking off on what I was saying. Is just when you hear something further left, at least you go out and research it. You might find out, oh no, that was some bullshit. But when you see, hey, it speaks to RBN too again. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, and one of them beliefs is I used to believe the United States empire was the good guys. I mean, I'm talking about like when I was a child.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Me too.
And then the George Bush administration happened, the Iraq War happened, and that shaped me. That's why I always follow foreign events ever since then. Because that was when the illusion was shattered. I mean, this is when I was a teenager, right? I'm like 12, 13 during the height of the Iraq War. And I'm like, okay, so this government is responsible for mass death and destruction I've been lied to. So it's just constantly evolving, and I still don't understand people who still have this Western chauvinist point of view. And we're gonna watch this segment from Breaking Points, and this has been something I've been wanting for a long time. Crystal Ball is not the word, but she don't focus on foreign policy. She hands off. But Saiger is a neocon. And I've been warning people about people like Tucker Carlson, the right-wing populists. Yes, they was against the war against terror. AKA, well, Tucker Carlson voted for the Iraq war, but then he had to rebrand. But in general, the right-wing populists say they're against the war on terror because they had a criticism of the U.S. empire engaging in the war on terror because they felt like it was a waste of resources. They should have been fighting Russia and China. They should be spending time repressing socialists. This is what Tucker Carlson wrote about. He said, why we spend all this money in Afghanistan in the Iraq war? We should be focused on the rise of China. He wrote about this.
Yeah,
that's been Saiger's position. He's been on Breaking Points, saying that we should escalate with China, and you guys see with this segment, and what I mentioned earlier with the China and Russia constantly having their bluff called. That's because the United States is a psychopathic country that keep crossing red lines, and we should have been in World War III if it wasn't for the restraint of countries like China, Russia, and Iran. When you had Biden continuing Donald Trump's sanctions on Iran, despite the fact that Donald Trump put out Iran first and broke the Iran deal. So they were waging economic war against Iran, despite the fact that they broke their deal. And then if Iran responds in any way, they'll say U.S. chauvinists and these neocons like Saiger, they will say, oh my God, look at Iran. So offensive, so militaristic. They won't allow the United States to do whatever they want. The same.
You
way,
know what? But
go
let me
ahead,
say,
go ahead.
just to your point, the same. I just always, even when I watch them, it seems like they were further. They seemed like they were a better representation of independent media when they were on the Hill than they are
I don't know
now.
what happened, man.
It seems like ever since they left and they've been able to sort of formulate how they want things to go, it seems like they reaching out to a lot of the same sort of problems, connecting themselves to a lot of the same, like first bringing on this guy from the Hudson Institute.
Yes.
I mean, like, this is crazy to have him as a part of the network. Like, it feels like if Breaking Points is not a psyop, it is becoming a psyop by the people that they're connected. Because Nick, what if all the Chris Smalls, all the union stuff, all the $15 minimum wage, Medicare for all, what if that's all just to grab the young people and sell them more on war, which is the main thing? But go ahead. I may have
yeah, we can play the video soon.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I think we can play the video soon because I want to dive into this. But I want to preface this. I want to ask you guys, what does it mean to be truly independent? RBN, we are truly independent. We got no financier other than the support that comes from our community. If you have agents from the Hudson Institute that work for you, are you truly independent?
That is insane.
People that have agreed and work with weapon defense contractors, are you truly independent? That's the question I'm going to ask you guys. Now watch this segment. And there's people that said, well, it's good they have opposing voices. No, every time they do these segments, why don't they have Aaron Mate on? Why don't they have Danny Haifong on at the same time?
Right. Who's the imposing voice in this video you're about to see?
Let's play the video. Let me read the super chat I seen here just real quick. Thank you for the $5. Crystal and Siger has zero understanding of any geopolitical politics and cultures. He talked about China or Iran. Does he speak Chinese or Persian? No. Siger, I had my eye on him as someone who was suspect ever since the George Floyd protest, where he decided to repeat the line of the government and demonize people who are protesting at the state as thugs, right? Despite the fact that 93% of the protest was peaceful, I was on the ground and it was peaceful. You had agent provocateurs that we caught, cops, people, right-wing infiltrators that was started looting and burning down buildings. And then they're like, oh my God, look at the Black Lives Matter thugs. We caught these people. We caught them. People, they was caught. I remember there was a lot of leftists at the streams that organized and caught people that was cops. Look on Twitter. So many of these agent provocateurs, and then Siger went along with the PSYOP. And I know because I was on the ground at the protest, and I saw the cops escalate towards us first. And then Siger went around like, oh my God, look at these crazy protesters who are upset. How dare they be upset because they was assaulted by the police? Like we was in Kansas City. Like we was assaulted.
How
by the
dare
police
you be upset?
But anyway, I don't want to go too far off topic. But thank you for that super chat. Thank you for the $2, Troy. I'm tired of paying for rich folks values. And this is why we wanted to start RBN. This is why we give you guys an unapologetic working class perspective, because we've been warning you guys since we started. I never understand why people get their news from millionaires and think there's no bias or slant. I'm not saying you can't do that every once in a while because it's good to get news from different sources, but you should be getting news from other members of the proletariat, that people that have your class interest in mind. Why are you guys getting news just from millionaires and think they got your interest in mind? Of course, they're going to repeat U.S. imperialist talking points. They're class loyal at the end of the day. CJ, anything you want to say, and then we're about getting into this video. We about 20.
No, you can get into the video. I'm ready for it.
All right, I'm gonna start about 2 minutes in to ignore the fluff, because it gets really unhinged around 4 to 5 minutes in. So we're gonna take our time.
Can you play like the first 30 seconds so we can just hear
okay, I'll start from the beginning.
The introduction, like the introduction. I mean, you can play all of it if you want, but
yeah,
I just want people to hear the introduction to the people that they're even bringing on to interview on an independent network. Play it, but I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna already tell you, like in the first few seconds, I'm gonna stop it. how does it make sense? I can just say it before, and then you can play it. How does it make sense to be an independent network, but you're bringing on corporate media? What does that do? You're bringing on corporate writers from corporate media, but you're an independent network.
They brought on Washington Post. He worked for
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense that you're an independent network using corporate sources.
Washington Post's Josh Rogan, who is making his return. Hey, Breaking Points. I'm joined by the Washington Post's Josh Rogan, who is making his return to Breaking Points to discuss Speaker Pelosi's upcoming trip to Taiwan. Well, I said upcoming, but who knows if it's actually going to happen or not. We'll get into that here. Let's just start with the obvious.
I'm sorry. I just want to say real quick. We talked about this before, CJ. I think we did a episode with Savvy. You guys noticed the one black motherfucker they found at Breaking Points?
Yeah. Yep. The one black person that they found is this person trained by the Hudson Institute and as black as Obama. I'm gonna say I don't have a problem saying that. Like, this person has no representation at all that he can espouse from his lips that represents anything black whatsoever. I just
talked to a ton of working class people at our RB and barbecue. Ton of parents I gave diapers to. We had a barbecue at a homeless camp, fed some people there, and there was a lot of black people that I talked to. This guy is out of touch with every single black person I know. I reported that 75% of black people are supportive of taking police fund and reallocating it to social services, meaning 75% of black people support defunding police. And there was a poll that came out that said that Americans are becoming more socialist. And then if you dive in that poll, you want to know the demographic that is most likely to be socialist than anyone else? Yes, you guessed it. Black Americans. Black Americans are the most socialist people in this country. And then the media didn't report it. I literally had to dive in the article and I reported it on my channel. So this guy is the black representative at Breaking Points, a right-winger. Flip a coin. What the chances of that?
That is just
you guys did that
insane.
an accident?
But it speaks to Breaking Points having the same problem that corporate media have. And what we're talking about is identity politics and the misuse of, see, this is a black face. He like Nick just said, nothing he comes out of his mouth sounds like anything that any black person any of us know. But you see how somehow this is the only black person that is in their orbit. This is the only black person in your orbit. Okay? It's like when white celebrities, Nick, say, I'm not racist, when all their friends are black capitalists. It's like, I'm not racist. Look at all my friends. Look at, I know Chris Rock. I know Will Smith. It's like, motherfucker, those are black capitalists. What the fuck are you talking about?
These motherfuckers like, hey, I know a guy. Like, we want to make a network. We're gonna have Breaking Points. And obviously, we gotta have at least one black guy. And Cyber, like, I know a guy. He's a fucking neocon. Lloyd Austin. Like, you might as well have Lloyd Austin sitting there.
I know. It is terrible. That's terrible. Let's continue.
All right, let's continue. Let me mute here.
You know what? Would it be better if I play it that way? You don't have to keep going in and out like that. Is that better for you? You're still muted. You're still muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah, that works. Sorry, man.
Yeah, so it's on YouTube, right? Just send it to me.
Chat and I'll read some
okay, let me get it.
Let
me do that because I want you to be able to like talk without having to stop the whole thing. Yeah.
I need to get another monitor. I only got one monitor, so if I had two monitors, I'll be able to play the video. Anyway, we get there eventually.
That's we get there. Just give us a couple of years. Yeah, give us a couple of years. First we do the groundwork in the community, then we'll worry about our equipment. That's just how we roll. All right, so let me share my screen. It's opening.
Let me read the super
you can read that. Go ahead.
Thank you for the $5, Zasmine. I'm gonna try to get to the rest of super chats when we get to a breaking point in the segment. The white dude will say, "Calm Party of China" rather than Chinese government. This same thing that Ro Khanna did. Remember when Ro Khanna was on? What is it on MSNBC? It doesn't matter. Same thing. So he was like, You guys think the Chinese Communist Party should tell Nancy?
Right.
Why not say the Chinese government?
That's the point. They're making it a point to say it that way, in the same way the Republicans made it a point to say Barack Hussein Obama.
Yes.
Why are you saying that? Same way. Oh, let me share it. I thought I was sharing
the same thing. Thank for the 5 CA. That clip is 100% Western exceptionalist garbage. I think that Canada. Anyway, you 100% right. This whole segment is Western exceptionalism, and yeah, I'm glad I can do it this way because I definitely want to stop it a few times because they get started like we're gonna warm up. We just start slow. We're start neocon shit slow, and then as the interview go on, they get more unhinged. And like they were just warming up. They're like, all right, we're gonna go full Dick Cheney around 5 to 6 minutes in.
Oh god.
Let's play it.
They're like, all the leftists are gone by now, so let's get into some real shit, and that's when they start.
Hey, Breaking Points. I'm joined by the Washington Post's Josh Rogan, who's making his return to Breaking Points to discuss Speaker Pelosi's upcoming trip to.
Hang on, let me refresh it. I don't know. It just feels to me like it's dragging. So let me refresh this video, and then I'll play it again. Don't worry, we're gonna get into the video. I know it seems like we're stalling because we don't want to hear this neocon shit, but
hey, Breaking Points.
It's really terrible.
By the Washington Post's Josh Rogan, who is making his return to Breaking Points to discuss Speaker Pelosi's upcoming trip to Taiwan. Well, I said upcoming, but who knows if it's actually going to happen or not. We'll get into that here. Let's just start with the obvious. Why is Speaker Pelosi's prospective trip to Taiwan so controversial?
Because
it's controversial. The basic point that he's making is that.
Go ahead. He's like, why is it so controversial? What is the work? Come on, man. Why are people complaining that you're gonna invade someone's sovereignty, another country's sovereignty? This is what we do. This is what we do. What kind of question is that? But anyway, go ahead. You can keep it playing.
The Chinese Communist Party shouldn't be able to tell Americans.
Why are you phrasing it like that? The Chinese Communist Party, are they communists, Nick?
They are more market socialist right now, but that's more of a step to communism. So, but they
right, but that's the point. They're not communists, is what I'm saying. They're not communists.
That's just the name of the name of the government, and that's the government that's massively supported by China. So it doesn't make any sense. And this is the same thing where he's saying the exact same line from Rokan. You guys think they're not getting a script? This is a script. The Chinese Communist Party don't have the right to tell us what to do. Like, imagine Vladimir Putin like, y'all gonna have a prep rally and at a Texas secession event, and then I was like, hey, yo, you can't tell Putin what to do. People would honestly be like, yeah, you're being ridiculous, Nick, and I would be being ridiculous. If you as a state have the right to impose your sovereignty, protect your sovereignty. You can then debate whether someone's been too aggressive, whether someone's been too passive. But if you look at geopolitical politics over the last few decades, the United States has been constantly crossing red lines. Then every other state, they back down, they will bluff, and then they're going to get into this very soon. They will bluff because the United States is crazy. If you have a country, you have red lines, and you're allowed to do that because you're allowed to protect your sovereignty. That is your duty in the social contract, right? So if you have a state that's constantly violating treaties, crossing red lines, you're gonna put out a message like, yo, we're gonna escalate. This is what happened in NATO, where Russia said if you vote Sweden and Finland into NATO, the nuclear option is on the table. I report on that. That is what they said. That was a bluff. And the West called their bluff because the West is fucking crazy. My question before we continue the video, why is it upon Russia, China, and Iran, and every other country to back down to the U.S. while the U.S. can do whatever it wants? And then whenever anyone else responds, people are like, oh my God, Chinese aggression. And as this video go on, you guys are going to see how insane the contradictions this empire puppet has. And if you guys want to be like, oh my God, it's just a Breaking Points guest. Hey, what's that dude fucking name? Malcolm, whatever, black dude. You please push back. Right now, if this dude was on this show, he started out with that shit, I'm immediately pushing back. I want before you guys let Breaking Points.
No, he agrees with it.
Yeah,
he agrees with it. In particular, Sagar and this guy, both from the Hudson Institute, have particular policies about China in particular.
Yeah, you can keep playing.
Americans when and where they can go places seems like a pretty basic point. There's no, like, how dare they? What right do they have to tell Nancy Pelosi or anyone else that they can go to Taiwan whenever, or they can't whenever they want, to threaten punishment in a crisis? It just shows that the Chinese Communist Party is just getting more aggressive and more reckless and more threatening and more expansionist. And, you know, that's...
You see how he just jumped? He's made a statement and just says, that shows that my statement just shows that they're insane. You see? No evidence. Like what you... So what he's basically saying is, what right does China have for a foreigner to come to part of their country? That's silly to them. So what right does Joe Biden have to say about, you know, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia coming to Texas? Like, what does Joe Biden have to say with that? It's that ridiculous to me.
See, you see how he painted that Chinese aggression? Because they're protecting their sovereignty? Like, what? This is ridiculous. This is U.S. At no point in this video do they ever outline why is Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan. The only purpose of the trip is escalation. Is she going there for a vacation? The fuck? Well, what's the point? Just for escalation. But you see, I just want to highlight the point of view. That's why we say this is imperialist garbage. But you can keep playing. We can try and keep playing for a while this time.
Should shock a lot of people. Now, you know, the reason it's controversial here in Washington is because President of the United States blurted out on the tarmac that he didn't like it, you know, and he revealed what had been going on internally between the Biden White House and the Pelosi team for several weeks, which was their long, quiet diplomacy to impress upon Nancy Pelosi that it was just too risky of a time for a host of reasons, that the intelligence showed that, you know, this could spark a crisis. The Chinese were taking it as an escalation, rightly or wrongly, and that the Biden administration, the military, were the ones who are going to have to deal with that. But she was just not convinced. She just didn't care. For her, this is her legacy. You know, she's not going to be speaker much longer. She's not going to be in Congress much longer. If she wants to go to Taiwan as Speaker of the House, this is it, basically. So that's a risk that she's willing to take. It's just not a risk that the White House is willing to take. And there's the rub.
Can you speak to the history of U.S.?
That's in his first bill. So this is a good time when I chime in. You see, I said this is Nancy Pelosi's legacy. And this is a risk she's willing to make for her legacy. And then he's saying that like that's a neutral position. You should be roasting for that. Nancy Pelosi trying to start World War III for her legacy because she want to be known as the person who stood up to China. She want to make a campaign ad where she said Nancy Pelosi stood up to the Chinese Communist Party, and she is really willing to risk World War III over that. And he's stating that as a duh, like as if she has the right for that. You see the insane point of view of these people? But go ahead, CJ. You can add, and then we can play the video.
I'm just gonna, because I hit the button. So let me just fast forward to the part where it goes.
So now we get into the first question, and now we're gonna see. If you guys think he's crazy in the beginning, this guy he goes full blown Mike Pompeo throughout the course of this interview. So let's play here.
Risk that the White House is willing to take, and there's the rub.
Can you speak to the history of U.S.
Real quick. Notice in this interview, the Biden administration, as we covered many times, is an insane warmongering administration. But what Nancy Pelosi is doing is so crazy. Even the Biden administration, like, whoa, Nancy. So the Joe Biden right-wing extreme warmongering administration is even looking at Nancy Pelosi like, oh, this is insane. So Nancy Pelosi is trying to force Joe Biden's hand and trying to drag Joe Biden to the right. Yeah, how crazy of a statement is that? And then in this video, Breaking Point's guest defends Nancy Pelosi and criticizes Biden. You see the perspective he says here? Oh my God, the Biden administration is undermining Nancy Pelosi. And he's gonna get worse in this interview. You can let it play because that's the theme they're gonna continue to hit on this interview.
Elected officials engaging with Taiwan. So, for example, like President Trump very controversially called the Taiwanese like after he was elected. The CCP did not like that. Just speak to the history there. I know pre-Speaker Gingrich visited Taiwan. Like, what's the history there?
Right. Well, congressional delegations have been going to Taiwan for decades, and there's a typical playbook. The Chinese Communist Party bitches and moans, and then they back down, and everyone goes
because
on
you guys
with their
are
lives.
crazy.
Now, yeah.
And now he's gonna explain how the United States constantly violates the sovereignty of China, but then China bitches and moans, and then China does nothing about it. You know why? Not because do you guys think Chinese people are just bitch made? They do it because they understand the global calamity.
Yeah, they're cool-headed. They're cool-headed. Yes. That's why.
You guys understand why I say China and Russia and Iran? These are the countries with restraints. The United States are like, we're going to invade and violate your sovereignty, and we dare you to do something about it. We dare you. We will ruin this entire economy. Because if China and U.S. went to war, and they're going to say this in the video, and Ro Khanna said this as well. Ro Khanna said the worst thing China would do is to attack Nancy Pelosi because that would devastate the Chinese economy. And what that statement is so evil because he leaves out by omission that war will destroy our economy as well.
Yeah,
he doesn't bring that up. So he's
like a lot faster. Like a lot faster. It'll be similar to what happened to. Just imagine PPEs, but apply that to like food and everything and medicine. You know how we don't manufacture anything? Just imagine.
So they are saying the working class, the global working class, because Africa has already been affected by the Ukraine war and their sanctions. Imagine the U.S. versus China. They are trying to make that happen, and they are willing to destroy the global working class to prevent the U.S. The change of a unipolar world. That's how insane the U.S. is. This is very easy to get this issue right. And look at this insane position of breaking points. Now, I know I talked a lot. I'm going to let it play a little bit. So, because I wanted to frame this right, because this is an insane video. It's hard to get through, but I'm gonna try to let it play a bit.
Okay, so I'll play it now.
Yes, Speaker Gingrich was the first and so far the only House Speaker to go, but at that time he was in the opposition, and so it couldn't really be seen as a U.S. government action per se, rightly or wrong.
That's the last time. Couldn't be seen as a U.S. action because he was in the minority group.
And the difference now with Speaker Pelosi is that the Chinese can't understand. They really don't believe us when we say that, like, the President of the United States can't tell his speaker from his own party not to do something he doesn't want him he doesn't want her to do. They don't get that in their system. If you defy the president, you die. You go to jail. Your whole family is done forever. So they look at that and they're like, "Oh, the Biden."
Oh God, go ahead.
He is saying that in our country, Nancy Pelosi can defy the order of the presidency and start a war with another country. And he says it like it's a good thing. He's like, yeah, Nancy Pelosi has the power to start a war with China against the wish of the commander-in-chief. Who's the bad guy, guys? Are you serious? Who listens to this and thinks we're the good guy in this situation?
People who watch Westerns. People
crazy.
Who watch Westerns and think people like John Wayne is the good guy in a Western, like think that the cowboys, they're the good. That's who believes this stuff. Like literally, that's who believes this stuff. So the people who read Washington Post, and I got to say this, I was going to save it to the end or later, but just understand this is independent media. What is the purpose of having independent media if you're going to have corporate conversations? It just doesn't make any, like, you don't have, like, put this on your realignment podcast. Why is this video being played on Breaking Points?
And they do that all the time. Breaking Points got, like, all this massive platform, and they do these deeply unserious videos all the time where they're like, oh my God, CNN Plus. Oh my God, do you guys see this video from the podcast?
Yeah.
I'm like, who gives a shit? But anyway,
independent media, and this is you're doing this is what you're doing with your independent, with your money you're getting from people. This
White House must be screwing with us. And from Pelosi's perspective, it's just like, oh no, this is a thing that we should be able to do, and she's got a sort of an instinct to defend the prerogative of the legislative branch and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the administration who has to deal with the crisis if the Chinese do something reckless. Because what's changed, the direct answer to your question is what's different now is
if they do something reckless, it's like it's always. If you defend yourself, that's reckless to a bully.
This is some mob shit, CJ. Hey, man, you don't want to do anything stupid, okay? You're going to play ball with me, okay, CJ? You're going to behave, right? I don't want anything stupid to happen. I don't want you to get reckless, okay? That is what the U.S. is doing. They are a mafia. Well, you can play video.
Is that the CCP is much, much worse. And there are people inside that leadership who would love a crisis. And by the way, their punishment wouldn't necessarily come down on us. It's not really about them shooting Nancy Pelosi out of the sky. It's about them punishing Taiwan because they always go after the weaker party. And that could be a range of military and economic pressures that the Taiwanese are going to have to deal with through no fault of their own. So I think there is legitimate risk here. And there is a discussion to be had over cost and benefits. But if you're Nancy Pelosi, you're thinking, well, I want to be in my, I envision myself as some sort of like leader on U.S.-China relations, and that means I have to show up in Taiwan. It's going to be so important. Then none of those calculations are going to stop her.
Yeah, this is so interesting because a million different questions come up. So I read your piece. We'll link to it in the show notes, obviously, but you asked a couple relevant questions. So a huge question here is just this: is China bluffing? Question. A little earlier in this interview, you pointed out they routinely bluster and say things like that. But one could easily say, before 1914, there was all sorts of bluster, and then finally something big just happened. So how do we weigh the track record of these situations not escalating versus the risk of something finally escalating at that last second?
Pause. Let me rephrase this question in a point of view with someone with sanity. Okay? He's asking, he's saying historically, we have undermined the sovereignty of countries. We have escalated with China, and we keep daring them to act. And then the Chinese bluff, and because the Chinese have restraint, and because Russia have restraint, he says, well, these countries have a history of bluffing. So why would we assume they're not bluffing this time? What? That's your follow-up question, Marshall. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Marshall. That's your, after that unhinged spill by the Washington Post columnist reporter, his follow-up is, yeah, the United States have a long history of making people bluff because we're fucking crazy. Why can't we do it again? Go ahead, answer that question.
I just don't think it's a coincidence that Marshall delivers interviews like this, and he has been trained by the Hudson Institute. It's not a coincidence to me that he's not pushing back. It's not a coincidence that he's fascinated by this article. He's trained by the Hudson Institute. So I'm going to leave it there because I got more to say later after he says a little more crazy stuff.
We're about 50 minutes in, so let's let it play. I'm sorry, I see you guys. I really got to let it play, but it's so crazy. I had to add context. I think I added enough context. I think I added enough. So we'll try to let it play at least 2 minutes without saying nothing. So let's see if we can get to 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So let's all right. So I'm gonna turn my mic off.
I think the best way to think about it is this. The situation is escalating. Okay, because of what the Beijing is doing, they're constantly escalating. They're becoming more menacing, sending out more planes, doing more dangerous stuff near our stuff, expanding their military presence, building nuclear weapons, hundreds of nuclear weapons. For what reason? What do they need 500 new nuclear weapons for? It's crazy. And expanding all the time. So that's a change of the status quo. Now, their propaganda says that we're the ones that are escalating, that we're the ones becoming more aggressive, and they're just responding to us, which is a lie. The truth is we're responding to them. But when something like this happens, you could see easily why the Biden administration is concerned. They're going to turn it into propaganda. They're going to be like, see, the U.S. is escalating on us, and they could use that as an excuse to change the status quo on the ground. If they do a flyover of Taiwan proper, just for one example, or if they close off the strait for a more drastic example, that'll be something that'll be probably irreversible in terms of its impact. And I get it, you know what I mean? Like we don't want to hand them those easy wins. And if we're going to have a crisis with Beijing over Taiwan, we'd like it to be on our terms, and we'd like it to be when we're ready, not necessarily when Nancy Pelosi happens to have a congressional recess, And so there's a chess game going on here, okay, between the Biden administration and the CCP. And Nancy Pelosi just sat down and made a move for us. And the Biden people are like, wait a second, we didn't ask you to do that. We don't like the move that you made. And she's like, tough shit. So, my instinct, and I think a lot of people, especially in Congress's instinct, is to be like, screw you, CCP. We're going to go to Taiwan and that's it. And on balance, I think the funny thing is now, because of what Biden did, because he made it so public, now she pretty much has to go. Now she can't back down. Now it would.
That's a real quote. That's a real quote. Now he said Nancy Pelosi must go or the West looks weak. This is as far right as it gets, guys. Dick Cheney, Mike Pompeo. This is that level of just straight up neocon ideology that was repeated on breaking points. Now, do you guys think we was overreacting when we did our preface with our headline here? This is it. This is as bad as it gets. CJ, you have anything you want to add? And then we can just do another.
Yeah, I mean, it just to me, it just doesn't feel like an independent network with these types of interviews. It doesn't feel like an independent network. And I also noticed that if you watch their videos, Saagar talks a lot more than Crystal talks. Like if you notice, when it was complete opposite on the Rising, like Crystal was like the main lead. She is still the face sort of Breaking Points, more so than Saagar. I would say both, but more so than Saagar. But Saagar clearly talks. He dominates the discussions, most of the discussion, except for the, her little, do your, union stuff, do your Democrats is bad, do your progressive thing. She'll do those things, but any topic outside of specifically progressive topics, Saagar is the one that's leading the discussion. It doesn't feel independent. And then you're telling me you have 40,000 paying cut. Who's paying for it? Because it's not the same people that were watching you on Rising.
The last thing I'm gonna say, just because as a response to what he said, you saw everyone in the chat. This man legitimately said China is the aggressor because they have their stuff next to our military bases that's in the South shits. Like we literally got military bases all over Russia and near China. And then he said Beijing is escalating because they're ramping up the military in response of us pointing our guns at them.
I already knew I was going to rewind it to that part because this first 10 seconds that we were listening to, I could barely contain myself. Let me just play it again. It's like 20 seconds.
Yeah, we can play for a quiet bit and then we can
I think
we can move on to the next subject after our next.
Yeah. We're not going to listen to the whole because we just had so much to say. But just listen to this crap.
I think the best way to think about it is this. The situation is escalating. Okay. Because of what the Beijing is doing. They're constantly escalating.
They're constantly escalating.
More menacing, sending out more planes, doing more dangerous stuff near our stuff.
Doing more dangerous stuff near our stuff. Very vague.
Expanding their military presence.
Oh, that is said with a straight face after all the military funding, after all the money, expanding their military. It is so unserious. Go ahead.
All I had to say because that stupid ass part. We spend more than the next 10 military countries combined. We got 800 military bases compared to China's 2. And now this is the headline from this April. Biden approves $29 billion increase in defense budget, but it's China being aggressive because they're increasing their military budget. Their increasing their military budget is less than how much we like increase the NYPD. That's like our police budget increase. This is bullshit.
Yeah, let me share this video again because you got to hear this other line. This freaking other line. Oh, oops, sorry. You put it in. I put it in at the same time.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I just listen to this when he talks about the bullying part.
I think a lot of people, especially in Congress, think this to be like, screw you, CCP. We're going to go to Taiwan and that's it. And on balance, I think the funny thing is now, because of what Biden did, because he made it so public, now she pretty much has to go. Now she can't back down. Now it would be a huge signal to Beijing that their bullying works. And then we just be living in a world full of bullying.
How are they saying this, Nick, with a straight face? How are we able to label anybody bullying, anything that any other country is doing, as bullying? And Nick, this is independent media.
Boy,
we're not watching CNN. Man. We're not watching CNN, where they have to stick to talking points that are approved by the people who bought them. This is independent media. Why have independent media if you're putting on the same just garbage that corporate media would do?
And you see, I'm not going to give too much attention, but Vosh today was saying that Nancy Pelosi, he was saying, yes, go to Taiwan. He now have the Taiwan flag in his profile. Now you got Breaking Points pushing this. You got Vosh and Breaking Points pushing this. The establishment is good, guys. They saw the rise of independent media. They saw people were leaving MSNBC and CNN, and they say, all right, this little independent media thing you guys got is cute. Let us infiltrate this shit real quick like we usually do. And people still
and they absolutely did. And they absolutely did. And the two that you bring up in Breaking Points and Vosh, those two are absolutely, I said this about Vosh a long time. I was like, when I heard him, I'm like, I've heard him maybe 3 times. When I heard, I'm like, y'all think this person is not part of some alphabet crew? Is that what y'all really think? Like, I'm listening to the voice. Like, this is no need. Why is this person with this voice playing fucking video games?
Look, they do.
You think they plucked this motherfucker out? Go ahead.
I'm not gonna show his tweets, but he put the Taiwan flag in, and then he started tweeting stuff like, "Yeah, we gotta stand with the Taiwanese in this Sino war." Like, and then they were like, again. I'm like, you guys have been infiltrated. The CIA completely infiltrated the left. The imperialists completely infiltrated people who consider themselves anti-establishment. And we see this with Breaking Points. So we put
Breaking Points is just another one that we're chalking up, but we can come to an end to it unless you know if there's another section. If there's another section in there, but let's make sure we like the stream. Let's update. Last I checked, we were like at 290. We got 400 viewers. Can we get to 350? 350 likes. We got 408 viewers. That should be fairly easy. And then we'll get into another segment. How did he end it, though? Did he end it? I didn't watch it all the way to the end. Did he say, hey, let me push back on all the stuff at the end? Did he say, hey, let me go ahead and run down all these lies you just said? Did he do anything like that?
I think we provide enough context, and we about an hour in. You guys can check the rest of the video out. Yeah. It's pretty much just more Mike Pompeo nonsense. You guys get the gist of what he was saying, and they got no pushback. And also, I want to share this. I'm not going to go too long into it.
Go ahead. We can move to the next
I want to share it just to round the segment up of who Saiger is. And MinPress News called this out. Saiger has infiltrated the social democrat left. Cal Kulinski gave him legitimacy. Chris Ball gave him legitimacy. But he's a fucking neocon. And this article goes through his history, who funded him. His neocon believes that he had in the past. They pretend he don't have anymore. This is his education background, studying. And the thing is, you listen to Saiger, he's open about this. He said, yeah, I used to study national security. What do you guys think that means? That's CIA shit. Now, I'm going to get to the Hudson. You see, a Hudson obsession on foreign policy, and Jetty seems to have been at least partially influenced by Hudson institution stances. And then he go on to explain the think tank that he aligned himself with has been pushing for war against China regarding Taiwan for years. And this is the people who Saiger buddy with. That's who the people they are interviewing on Breaking Points. a populist guide to hate in China. This is what I explained earlier. They will pretend they're populist because they're like, oh yeah, we don't like the war on terror because the war on terror is unpopular and they feel like it's a waste of resources. They're like, we need to fight China and socialist and communist countries. We need to wage a class war. That has been the position of Saiger, and he infiltrated the undisciplined left, the boutique left, and they see him as an ally now. And I say, and we can wrap the segment there, but I hope with an hour coverage of this, I hope we made our argument very clear. I'm not saying you should cancel these people if you enjoy their unserious coverage they do daily, right? But I'm just saying, I want you guys to understand their perspective on foreign policy. And Crystal, to be fair to her, she don't really talk that much about foreign policy. She just kind of let Saiger take the lead, which is damning, right? How is that not an interest of yours? But anyway, CJ, you can add anything you want. I can wrap the segment.
Yeah, we can close it with this. It speaks to Nick how the threshold to call yourself a leftist in the United States is so low, because the thing that makes the things that should be most important, that defines whether you're a left, which is foreign policy,
yes,
that
they don't care.
Should be at the top of the list. That's like secondary. That's like a la carte. Like, what makes you a leftist in the United States is $15 minimum wage, Medicare for all, get money out of politics. I'm a leftist. I'm like Malcolm X. The other stuff is just a la carte. I can be pro-war or not and still be a leftist as long as I'm for $15 minimum wage, when that's absolutely absurd. Do you know there's conservatives in other countries who think we should have single-payer health care? Single-payer health care doesn't tell you that you're a leftist, okay? It tells you that you're a human, that you're a humanist, not a leftist. Foreign policy more so. It being for wars or against war at all costs. That is, or the types of things that make you a leftist.
I don't know if we read this one already, but we can go through a few super chats and I'll pass to you, CJ. I know you got a story. I just want to read the super chats to wrap that story up. Thank you for the $15. For once, I don't want any of what those bozos are on. Thank you for the support, my friend. I've seen people say this a few times already. Who's worse, Breaking Points or TYT? I wouldn't say I don't know, man. They're not at TYT level bad yet. Because remember, TYT smeared Aaron Mate, an anti-war journalist, for debunking U.S. talking points. Yeah. So there's levels to being bad. I would say Breaking Points is on their way. I would say that.
But they are way worse on foreign policy. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe because
Jake is the worst at. Jake is open.
Jake is worse. Okay.
Like, Jake and Jimmy Dore had a debate about Syria, and like Jake is not. He was unapologetic, like, yeah, we need to get involved. And yet the West involved in these conflicts actually make things better. And Jimmy was like, "Are you out of your fucking mind, bro?" I think I played that debate before, but there's a clip. Maybe
we did a stream on Jake on a particular take. I didn't know this is like how he is all the time, but we did a stream once on a particular take when he was calling out leftists. Because they were saying he was saying, yeah, leftists are not this because they're not leftists. They're just, wussies or something like that. He was saying, if you're anti-war in this situation, is what
I think just
based TYT's worse.
Yeah, based on just the show of hands I see in the just chat real quick, I think TYT wins. like TYT's win hands down to answer your question, Nima. So that was a funny thought experiment. Thank you for the 49 Frank. I was done with that trash Breaking Points when Saiger called Nicole Hannah-Jones of hack. He loves to dismiss racism. See, I don't watch the show. I can only imagine the amount of bad takes you hear from this dude every day. I don't watch it. Like, if they cover something, like, that's why this caught my attention. I saw Taiwan. So I was like, because I like to hear opposing viewpoints. I saw they covered that. Like, all right, I want to see how they cover that, right? I was critical of their Ukraine coverage, because I saw them have a live stream about that. Like, I want to see how they covered that. And they disappoint me every single time. For the most part, I see their videos. I'm like, shit not interesting to me. Like, it's just very drama-filled, electoral politics focused. And I'm not trying to get you guys to cancel it. I'm just giving my opinion. We don't have to go on all day on it, though. CJ?
Yeah. Let me speak to they just love to give different viewpoints. You know what? No. Because what independent media should not be doing is giving CIA NATO talking points under any circumstance,
Oh,
whether you're conservative or not. Like it doesn't matter. They're not it doesn't matter. Independent media should not be having pro-war talking points straight from the CIA and NATO. Period.
I apologize. I have one more thing I want to share. It shouldn't be that long. I want to share this part of the segment. So I'm adding this part because even breaking points on the audience.
Yeah.
I want to share this part. I'll wrap the segment up with this for real. Even breaking points on audience, and I actually found it surprising because there was polls that showed that breaking points audience is very right wing when they was asked about Taiwan before, and it was asked if the United States should get involved if China invades Taiwan, and then like 60% of their supporters said yes. So I wouldn't say their audience is completely right wing, but I would say they're definitely leaning towards right wing on foreign policy at least. So then I checked the comments knowing this, and I was actually surprised. I wasn't expecting this. If you look at the comment section in this video, even they are calling bullshit. Here's the compilation. And if I promise to God, I did not like cherry pick. You guys can check the video out yourself. Like you guys can fact check me yourself. But here are some comments. I'm not gonna read them all. And I picked these. Like you notice the comments I picked. They are all top comments. Like these are comments with a lot of likes.
Oh
so
yeah, a lot of likes. Yeah.
So I'm not picking the unpopular ones. I literally, honest to God, just picked the first ones I seen, and I was shocked. And then you see the first one. Their stuff near our stuff, mocking them. Another comment: why is no one asking the purpose of Pelosi's visit to Taiwan? A vacation? Why is it that no one is reporting on the reason why their own audience is saying, why aren't you guys asking these questions? He said, this is really the most simple question to answer, and I have not heard it from any news source. This is a person who needs to subscribe to RBN, right? Yes. Mainstream media, which is breaking news, is not talking about this. I'm going to try to speed up, but Josh Rogan's use of Chinese Communist Party as opposed to Chinese government is telling. 96 likes. This is their audience calling them out. I'm going to go to the next page because this one's some good ones. Look, a lot of likes on these. I'm not picking these out. Damn, he being sarcastic. Damn, I love listening to American propagandists. Thanks, Breaking Points. Here's another one. He quoting the guy. Once again, they mocking him for his insane stance. This guy said, they're constantly doing more dangerous stuff near our stuff. Wow, Breaking Points. Real sophisticated analysis here. What a clown show. So even their own audience, who I thought was more.
Oh, it's no more. Oh man,
I'll
read more of those later. I'll read more later.
Yeah, check out my tweet. I won't write the segment. You can do your. We already did the segment for a while, but CJ, you can add on to your next point. But you guys, audience was like, damn, you guys are going pretty right wing here. Go check the video out. Check. It's even there's a lot of comments roasting them like, damn, I can't believe Breaking Points is turning right. Like there's a lot of people like shocked at this segment. And I saw people get faith in these networks and people, and then they just go awry. Like y'all can trust that RBN that's never gonna happen to RBN. We get roasted in the comments like that. We'll at least address it. Like, God damn.
Yeah. Like, wait, so maybe we need to adjust what's happening. Did we really fall off like that? Because that was terrible. That was terrible. But Kim Iversen left Rising. I think we all knew why, or we could all assume why. So Rising got an interview with Dr. Fauci, and he came on to Rising, and Kim was not involved in interviewing him, which was shocking to everyone who watches Rising.
Isn't her main thing COVID? Like,
exactly. That's what I'm getting to. Like, because that's her main thing. That's the stuff that gets her the most views on Rising, and all of the videos that are getting a million views, that are getting 900,000 is all Kim's videos on that network. So it was just surprising. So she made a short video. It's like 6 minutes where she just explains what happened, and I kind of don't believe what Rising was telling her, or the Hill was telling her about what happened in the story, but let's just listen and then give a comment. This is going to be a quick segment because we're just going to listen to her video, the reasoning, and then give our kind of assessment of what we think happened here. So let's listen to Kim.
So as some of you may have heard, I am no longer with Hills Rising. And I know many of you want to know what happened and why there was a sudden departure. So I'm here to explain. Now, a year ago, when I joined Rising, I promised the viewers that though I was working on a corporately owned media show, I wasn't being censored or held back in any way, and I wouldn't be there if I was. Prior to joining Rising, I was doing my own show independently. I was independently funded, and one of the benefits of being independent is that there are no corporate overlords or establishment types meddling with the content. And of course, we have to dance around YouTube's community guidelines, but beyond that, the actual editorial calls are not being made by some establishment hack. Now, obviously, viewers were very concerned when I joined Rising that this would change, that instead of being my normal self of questioning the establishment, calling them out, thinking outside the orthodoxy, and criticizing our leaders, that I would instead morph into some shill or stay quiet when I would normally speak out. So I made numerous assurances that this was not happening at Rising, that I was free to say what I wanted, and I was free to talk about what I wanted, and that was true. My radars over the past year were all me. I wrote every single one. I didn't have to consult with anyone about what the topic would be or what I would say about that topic. No one edited the pieces. They were 100% mine. No one ever told me what to say or what not to say at Rising. And I know that I made some of my colleagues uncomfortable with some of the things that I would say. And when I did, never once did a manager or producer pull me aside to tell me to tone it down. I was completely free to say whatever I wanted at Rising. And I did. I said whatever I wanted, most notably openly criticizing the pandemic response, vaccine mandates, and Fauci. I still remember the first time back in August of 2021, when I stated that the vaccines don't stop the spread. And I was met with fierce resistance to that idea. Do you remember this? Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand. We know now that the vaccine doesn't stop the spread. So I could understand maybe doing a vaccine mandate if there was.
It certainly stops the spread. And
it doesn't stop the spread. We know it doesn't. The science is clear that it's not stopping any spread. My open criticisms of the narrative, decisions around the pandemic, and Fauci brought in millions of views for Rising. Out of all the hosts, COVID and the pandemic response was my topic. All of the viewers knew this. So when I found out Sunday night that Fauci was going to be on the show, I was excited. This was a moment I had waited for and viewers had waited for. I had questions that I wanted to ask him, like,
what does it say?
Mandates for non-sterilizing vaccines?
Yeah, absolutely.
mRNAs not succeeding in ending the pandemic.
I let this video play a lot, but what does it say that, like, Dr. Fauci is one of the highest paid government officials, if not the highest, right? He's literally in charge of a pandemic response. And he's picking and choosing who he gets to interview? This guy should be questioned consistently by the populace. Meanwhile, he's picking and choosing soft interviews. What does it say about our culture? Where a lot of people pretend that other press are the state TV that is loyal only to the government. And there is a lot of that in global politics, right? But the United States have the most loyal propaganda puppets. Every time this criminal Fauci goes on MSNBC, CNN, and even The Hill, he gets softball interviews.
Yeah.
And he's one of the most powerful people in this country. How crazy is that? Doesn't that show that we have this like fascist culture where the media has to be obedient to the ruling class? He should be getting grilled every day because he takes a lot of taxpayer money. He got a lot of power. He got a lot of status. So if you have that and you have so much power, it's upon you to constantly defend yourself to us. But that idea to the liberal establishment is heresy. You think the ordinary people can talk to Fauci? That's what they think. I'm like, yes, motherfucker, yes. He owes us answers. So I'll let the video play. I just want to add that commentary to it.
No, that's perfect. Let's listen to a little more.
Pandemic, why is he still pushing for them? And many more. I had a lot of questions. But then Sunday night, I got a call from the producers telling me that when they submitted for the interview a couple of weeks earlier, Fauci's team had asked who the hosts were going to be, and they didn't list my name. They told them Batya and Robbie would be the hosts. They said originally the interview was going to be earlier than when I typically show up, and so they didn't think to include me. Now,
this is where I was saying I don't buy that story at all. I believe that Fauci made the demand that she can't be on the interview. And this is just simply what Ryzen, remember, they're not independent, they're corporate, is telling Kim. Oh, no, we didn't include you. Now, you know goddamn well that a network that is that whose sole purpose is to get high ratings, if you paired Kim Iversen with Dr. Fauci on your network, you know that's 2 million views instantly. You know this. She gets 1 million views talking about a Fauci without him there. So you trying to tell me that the programming director or whoever is the producers don't understand that? Then they should be fired. What is your job? But to pair people, get interviews that's going to maximize the views because it maximizes your advertising. Like, why would you not do that? But that's what the story they're trying to tell. I just don't buy that. I don't buy that. I think that Fauci demanded this, or being that they're corporate, they understood that, hey, we're of course not going to include Kim, but them trying to tell her that it's some sort of oversight. No, it was intentional. They knew it was intentional. Anything before I go back?
You can keep playing.
Now, I dispute this because there have been numerous occasions when a guest who they know I would be particularly interested in talking with is scheduled early, and then they ask me if I want to join to be a part of that interview. Sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no. But I think obviously interviewing Fauci, of all people, it would have been one of those times to ask me. So I told the producers that they needed to go back to Fauci's team and tell them I'm in the interview. And if he won't agree to do it, then we make a segment about that. We say Fauci wouldn't face us, that it needed to be all of us or none of us, especially since the interview had been moved to later in the day when I'm there. So I made it clear that anything other than this would cause the viewers to lose trust in Rising, and trust is what matters most. The viewers had flocked to Rising for this content, and to let them down like this would just break their trust completely. So they seem to understand this Sunday night. Now, the next morning, as I'm ready to join the show and I'm getting ready to do my radar and possibly interview Fauci, I got a phone call from the executive producer telling me that they had made the final decision to not approach Fauci's team, but to instead move forward with the interview without me. They wanted me to come on the show, record a couple of segments, then ask me to leave so that they could interview Fauci. And I expressed that this was a giant mistake, that the viewers would no longer trust the show, that I had told viewers I wouldn't be censored or held back. And how can I go back to the viewers after this and say with a straight face that I'm not being censored or limited? How am I supposed to do that? I mean, there were times in the past when viewers would accuse the show of holding me back or censoring me or limiting me, and it wasn't really the case. It was other circumstances that made it to where I wasn't in the segment. But in this particular case, that wasn't the situation. So what was I supposed to say to viewers after this? How could I say, yeah, it's corporate media, but trust me, guys, I'm not being censored or held back? I mean, up until this point, it was true, but after this, I wouldn't be able to say that. And that would make me a liar, and it would put my reputation at risk because I made promises to the viewers. And so, because of all of this, I am no longer with Rising. Now, I want to say there are a lot of really good people who work at Rising. The team is amazing, and I had a really great time over this past year being on that show. I don't regret a single moment of it. And I also want that show to be successful because there are so many great people working there. And I hope for the sake of
except for the people in front of the camera, because that shit's terrible.
Those great people working there who are now worried about their jobs, that those who are making the editorial decisions will go forward, making better choices, understanding that viewers' trust is the most important thing. It's the only thing. And the only way to gain and maintain that trust is to keep your integrity. And sometimes, in order to keep your integrity, you have to make a tough choice. So that's it.
That's her statement. What are your thoughts on just the whole overall thing? And then we can move to a couple of smaller topics here. But this is the story that they gave her. This is her response. They decided not to go back to Fauci and just move on. So they basically like that too kind of speaks to, I'm not sure if it's a believable story, what they told her. It sounds more like they know it was going to be problematic to add her, so they just didn't, and they weren't going to go back and now try to squeeze her in. But what are your thoughts on all of this?
My final thoughts are: you guys saw our coverage of Breaking Points, and you guys see what the establishment has done, where they saw the rise of people watching YouTube and getting their news on YouTube. So they had to infiltrate it. And The Hill, just like Breaking Point, showed their establishment bias here. Even if they can have fake being anti-establishment by hiring someone with Kim Iversen, there's always a line. And the line is you don't bring anyone on to question Dr. Fauci. So they may be, AKA, a little bit more free to MSNBC, but there's still an establishment line, right? That's why, once again, another reason why we had to start RBN, because I didn't feel like there wasn't enough pro-working class, unapologetic pro-working class news. Like, this is a new thing that we are seeing, and that's us and our allies, the people you see on our show and that kind of stuff. So that's the only thing I add, and then I can get into the FBI rating story next. But CJ, anything else you want to add before we move on?
No. I mean, I gave my take on this. I believe that the producing team is making up a story to give her. They simply did not want her on because they knew she was problematic with securing the interview, and that's just the story they told her. They thought that they would be able to, they thought that they would be able to smooth this over and keep her, but they obviously couldn't. And look, there's nobody over there that's going to get the views that she gets. There's no one on that channel, including friends of the show. There's no one. They're going to get better than. I literally don't know how Ryan Grimm is still on that network. I still don't, because his segments, he has not gotten any better. Reading from the teleprompter, he's still pretty terrible. Like, he writes good, but he's still pretty terrible in front of the camera. So that's all I got. Let's get to. I'm ready to get to the FBI raid story. But go ahead.
I'll address this real quick. I'll be short. I'm not sure what was unfair, because like anyone else, no one is above criticism. You can acknowledge that Kim Iversen is good on some things, but I have been clear, and the position is RBN. The position that Jimmy say all the time. We shouldn't be focused on the culture war. We need to be focused on class solidarity. And when you see clips of her talking about the trans issue all the time, and I see her do this all the time, pushing the culture war, that's something that I find to be unserious. And that was my criticism. And also, I had criticism because she don't have a lot of, like, she has some pro-working class takes, but she had a take on the homeless before that was horrific. She was talking about race science one time, which she was saying the reason why black people, they don't have income like white people and Asians is because they are inferior to Asians and white people. These are things that she has said. You guys need to start worshiping people. Don't worship me. And these are real criticism that if you're on the left, if you have a class analysis, you should have as well. So that's the only.
So they're referencing some tweet then, because you didn't say this in this stream.
I just said on one live stream when we was talking about that one clip, and people have been upset. It was like, whatever though.
But see, Nick, this is what I mean by people are trained or conditioned in the approach to politics as duopoly too. It's not just the duopoly politics, but just speaking. The idea that a singular person is going to, like, you and I are going to agree. We have a lot of overlapping agreements, but we're not going to agree. But just that a person who disagrees with you, you can't criticize, and they say some good things. Like, it's both. Like, one person can say some good things, and the same person can have some bad takes. Like, that is possible. And I just don't understand.
Yeah, I think Kim Iversen got good takes on imperialism. She got good takes on COVID, but she had awful takes before. And I'm not gonna be one to pretend. And I mentioned it just in a passing on the stream. It's not like I made a diss video. I didn't make a whole stream dedicated. I just mentioned.
That's why I didn't know about it, because I didn't.
And I ratioed her before on Twitter. I ratioed her pretty bad because of her trans take. And I was just playing like, you guys are wasting time. Stop breaking worker solidarity. Like, it's so unserious. And that was just my it wasn't, I wasn't saying that she was evil. Like, I didn't have like a liberal evil take on her. I just had criticism, like I do most people. And if you got criticism, there are people that have criticism of me, which is fine. I'm a big boy. I'm not crying when people criticize me. But anyway, thank you for the 5. I don't know what currency that is. The one who are infiltrating the left are the ones who have MSNBC contracts: Cenk Uygur, Crystal Ball, and Sam Cedar. But anyway, thank you for that super chat, Nima. Anything else you want to add, CJ? And then we can move to the FBI story.
Yeah, just do
So
the FBI story. Yeah.
all right, so I talked about this in passing on the JB show yesterday, and I have been warning about this for quite a long time. Here, let me show you. Let me show you my screen, because this is a common tactic that the ruling class used, where the ruling class, they will expand their power using stuff like January 6th here. Like, this is an old story. The Biden administration is considering using outside firms to track extremist chatter by Americans online, an effort that will expand the government's ability to gather intel, but could draw criticism over surveillance of citizens. So the United States does this all the time, especially ever since the Patriot Act, where you have them saying, oh my God, we got to fight terrorism. Oh my God, you see the January 6th insurrection? We need to expand security. We need to expand this police state. And if people really think that they did turn around and use that against power, against people who have any influence, they use that against the workers, the left, and often black people. And this is the old take I had all the time. And then my tweet, as tradition, we use terrorist attacks and white supremacy to expand state powers. Then they use those powers to target the black community, workers, movements, and protesters. And it's crazy how people keep falling for this shit. And it's something I've been telling people about. I've tweeted about it many times. I had episodes where I talk about it, where the Democrats increased police funding. Oh my God, look, the crime rate is up. Oh my God, terrorism. Oh my God, the Proud Boys, the Patriot Front. We need to increase the police state. And then who do you guys think they use that on? They use it on black people. This was reported by Ajamu Braka. This was a story, and then the mainstream media twist on this has been horrific. So I'm not even going to read you guys the mainstream media articles. I'm going to read you guys what directly came from the black radicals. I'm going to play a video. We're going to play a few minutes of it, CJ. But this is a tweet from Ajamu Braka on the FBI using a McCarthyite smear job on a black radical socialist group because they did not follow the line of the Ukraine proxy war. They was openly supporting Russia because they was against NATO. I'm going to allow them to speak for themselves on the video I'm going to play here soon. And this is what Ajamu said. As predicted, like I predicted as well, black radicals are targeted once again for not falling in line with U.S. imperial agenda on Ukraine. The FBI raided headquarters of the African People's Socialist parties in 2 cities. The allegation? Spreading Russian misinformation. And I had people that legitimately argued that America is more free than Russia because they're like, well, they at least allow people to reject the U.S. talking points. But here you see they use state power. They use what was built up out of Russiagate to attack black radicals and workers. The FBI and the CIA has kept tabs on socialists and black radicals. Look at the Ferguson protesters that was killed. And the protesters in the Black Lives Matter and George Floyd protest who had retaliation from the police. This is who the state will always put their attention to. So that was Ajamu's tweet on this. And I will play a little bit of the video. But before I play their video of their press conference where they talk about this, do you have anything you want to ask, CJ?
No, I'm my comments is on the video because it's pretty legit.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let the video play because I want to hear from them, and you guys want to see the rhetoric that they said that the government deemed to be off limits, and then once you hear it, I don't hear anything that is criminal here. It just the state retaliating against people who are stepping out against the talk points of the U.S. imperialists. So I'm gonna play the video and let's see what they had to say.
Propaganda for the.
I just want to quickly say this real quick. I'm gonna let it play because you see she's spitting, right?
Yes.
This is the knowledge that our state is afraid of. And remember what we read and how we've been covering this from day one, which has been different than how Breaking Point's been covering this. Different than how Kyle Kalinski's been covering this, where he said the Ukraine war is like the Iraq war. You guys see the difference between the black radical position, which we read on the Black Agenda report that Jamu Baraka has, that this black socialist group has, that we report on, versus the white bourgeoisie? The people who are really anti-imperialist are calling out the real imperialists because we understand history. We are not deeply unserious, anti-intellectual, Western chauvinist clowns. So, CJ, you can add, and I won't let the video play more.
I love that description, but just as you were saying, man, like when I was listening to this for the first time, I was like, man, they are over there kicking. It just makes you feel good that you're not the only black person, young black person, spitting like this. It makes you feel good. Like, okay, we have comrades that we don't know, and we have them, and this is one of them. What she's spitting is absolutely on point. You can continue the video. Uh-oh. Is there a pickup? Did we lose? Are you there, Nick? I can't tell. I think we may have lost Nick. Let's give him a chance because I don't see you moving, Nick. I'm gonna put you out. Yeah, I don't see you moving. So let's see. Nick is the one who had that video playing, so I think that's the reason why both of them kind of ended at the same time. So let's give him a chance to get back in here. But what she was spinning so far, absolutely on point. And what I was looking at closely, and I'm gonna see if I can bring it up myself on Twitter. What I was looking at closely was all the news cameras that were there. He said it was on Jamu. All the news camera get the right name. Like it showed a channel 8, it showed a channel 10. So this was, where is he? So this was, yeah. My bad, everybody. Cool. Okay, so now I found him. I think I have the link. And Nick, join back whenever you're able to. But I did find a link of the video. Let me see if this is it. Forget what I was saying. Wow. Let's see. Jamu has a lot of good stuff I would like to play on his thing. Okay, so here is the video, or here is the article. I think this is where the video is on. So let's click on it and see if it shows here. And then I'll share. So I will be sharing in just a second. I just want to make sure this is the right one. So this is the article. I'm going to kind of read a little bit of the article here. And I do believe the video is here at the end. But let's read a little bit more. Let's see of this article that Barack Jamu put up. Let's close this one. Close this. Close. All right. So now I'm able to share, right? Oh, I'm already sharing. My bad. I'm tripping. Okay, so this actually that's not the right one. Let's share a different one. I see you back, Nick. Yeah, I figured I'm sharing the wrong one.
I don't know. I got bad infrastructure.
Figured out something. Yeah, but one day we're gonna be able to afford and get some stuff like Breaking Points have, huh?
I think that video. I think you guys heard of Spitfire for quite a long time, right? So, I think
I didn't know where it was. Was it in the article? So this was the article that Ajamu had, and it's FBI investigating Russia interference, possible link to St. Petersburg, the hero movement, and what you just the hero house is what she calls it. That's the little picture all these pop-ups. Sorry, but this is corporate media, so all these pop-ups are popping up. But you can see the hero house is how she referred to it. But you see how they describe. Just look at the headline of corporate media, and then you hear the voice of the person and what's actually happening.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna read a couple of just one paragraph. Are you gonna play the video again, or you just want to go off of what's left in this paragraph?
I'll play this clip because I don't remember, because my internet went out, so I don't know exactly where I left off. But Caleb Maupin did a great coverage of this. So there's a quick clip from Caleb Maupin that I want to play from her clip. We can play it again because this is a very powerful quick clip here.
Okay.
This is what you want to make it about. Russia is the big bad guy. Russia is the problem. Russia is not in my community doing any of this stuff to me. It's not the reason why me as an African woman is catching hell. It's just not. It's not responsible for that. And that's what we have to make clear. That's what we have to make clear.
I wanted to share with you guys that because what was interesting about this press conference was she spit fire at first, and then you had a lot of these like shit-lived media outlets that thought they can get her. The same way that a lot of shit-livs thought they can get Muhammad Ali when Muhammad Ali said he wasn't going to fight in the Vietnam War. And then Muhammad Ali was like, "You motherfuckers ain't do nothing to me. Nobody never call me nigger." That was his famous quote. And then they was like, "Oh shit, he's fucking right." That was the same thing she did. And that was what she said in the clip. And that is what I have been saying regarding Russiagate. I told people Russiagate is going to come home. They're going to span the state, pushing this bullshit. And you had white boutique motherfuckers like, yeah, but Trump is a Putin puppet. We need to fight against Russia. We need to spend our military fight Russia without even the consideration of what that will mean domestically as well. And that is black radicals being attacked. And I mentioned this before, and I'll wrap the segment up with this, and then I'll pass it to you, CJ. Putin is not imprisoning 1/4 of our world's prison population. Putin did not crash black wealth by bailing out Wall Street after they have fraudulent contracts and illegally foreclosed on black people's homes. They are not the one that is permanently expanding DHS and stripping the rights of migrants and stealing their right to asylum. They are not the one who is cracking down on homeless people. In Missouri, in my state, they just passed a law where if you're homeless, you can't sleep on any government land or any bridges. They are criminalizing being in poverty in this country as they are waging a class war. That is not what Russia is doing. So, CJ, do you have anything? I think that's all I want to share on this story. There had to be
I
had to talk about
no.
Yes, CJ.
Let me just read a little bit because
go ahead.
Fiorella also kind of tweet. Oops, that's the wrong one. Let me share something else. Fiorella, let me read just part of her tweet. She also tweeted out something about this. Russia Gate 2.0 attacks African activists. The FBI raided the Hushu House, I think that's how you say it, ran by the African People's Socialist Party, because the U.S. Justice Department is charging a Russian nationalist who worked with them of conspiring to have U.S. citizens act as illegal agents to the Russian government. So check this out too. And then the reason I was bringing that is because this is the same sort of clip you can get here, where she talks about this is Alki Anna charged Alexander Votovic, I don't know that name, saying that the group is being attacked for the connection to international anti-colonial forces and that the U.S. government is the problem. Using this accusation against Alex for the propaganda war against against Russia. So she puts all these receipts in here. Go there and check it out. Go ahead, Nick.
Sorry, CJ. I just want to be real quick. Make sure you guys check out Fiorella Comic because they always do a lot of great reporting. She's always on top of the imperialism. But you notice with this Russiagate nonsense, and I'm glad that Fiorella called this out. They are criminalizing our idea of having an international leftist coalition. Remember we talked about that on the anti-imperialist summit? How we need to have a global working class movement. So they are demonizing this group because they are willing to have anti-colonial links with other international anti-imperialist forces. They are criminalizing any resistance against the U.S. empire. So I just want to add that point, and I'm glad that Fiorella also highlighted that story as well.
Absolutely. So let's. Did you have another story you wanted to share after this one?
Let me read the super chat. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I have a few stories. I had another short. I think I have another short story I can do.
Can we? I want to play the MSNBC, the mainstream media video you sent of them trying to act like there's no recession. Just ridiculous. Go ahead with the super chat. Go ahead.
We can do that one next, and then and we be about we can see where we at that point. Thank you for the $50. America's foreign policy is acted on U.S. citizens. They always come home, all connected on imperial power, to how our police operate, how our state. They always violence first against us. They will say, "Oh, violence is never the answer." They will preach civility politics on the outside, but in order to keep the working class in line, they are quick to use violence. For example, when we protested our police state in 2020, they used tear gas against us. I was at the KC protest. They used tear gas on us unprovoked. And who you guys gonna trust? Are you guys gonna trust a citizen journalist? And literally every single person at the scene who said we did not do anything to provoke the police? Or are you gonna trust the police who have a long history of lying? I'm telling you, as someone on the protest, the people who get this issue wrong, like Kim Iversen, for example, who said that we were violent thugs at the George Floyd protest, they ignored the fact that it was the police that constantly escalated, which is them mimicking U.S. foreign policy. CJ, anything you want to add? And we can get to that MSNBC clip. Do you want to share it? It's usually better.
No, was there any other? Yeah, I can share it. But is there any other super chats you wanted to read?
I think I got all of them. Thank you for the generous super chat once again, Fossil. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and I can share this. It's a quick clip. It's 1 minute and 45 seconds. But the media, like corporate media, is doing like sort of like mental gymnastics and all types of just stretching of the truth, all to say we're not in a recession because the Biden administration can't take another hit and even go into the 20s. They can't dip even further. Go ahead, Nick.
And what does it say about American culture once again? That's what RBN do. We got a critique of this capitalist culture. You got the Biden administration whose message was that we're not in a recession because of the midterms. Like that's why they're doing it, because right before midterms, you gotta do any sleazy trick you have to give your team an advantage. So the Biden administration has been breaking the long-term capitalist precedent of how they gauge recession GDP. I told you guys many times, as a Marxist, as a socialist, my point of view, their metrics for what a recession and what poverty is already a joke. I've explained this before. And according to capitalist logic, if you are a single mother with 2 kids, if you make over $23,000 a year, they say you're out of poverty. How does that make sense? So their stats are already lies and bullshit to make their system look better. So under their system, they say if you had GDP decline 2 times in a row like they just did, that's a recession. So now the Biden administration and the Democrats have been pushing out, and I've seen liberal pundits, New York Times article authors, they've been following the line of the Biden administration, which tells you what? Why you have a media arm that is loyal to a political party in this country. That's crazy. That's the kind of media obedience that a tyrant and a dictator would want. But we can play the video now, CJ, unless you have anything else you want to add. I just want to preface.
No, I do have some, but let's listen to the video first. Otherwise, I'll just ramble. Let's listen. This is on reliable sources. It's always a lot of content that comes out of this show, Reliable Sources, with I think his name is Stelter or something like that.
Laureate and economist, a distinguished professor at the City University of New York's Graduate Center, and a longtime columnist for the New York Times. Welcome to the program. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Can we dispense with the recession debate real quick? Are we in a recession, and does the term matter?
Debate?
No, we aren't, and no, it doesn't. I mean,
do you think he knew the answer to that question? That's why he asked it. Like, Like that was such a giveaway that he already knew what this guy was gonna say. Come on, let's just dispense with it. Let's get over this nonsense. This nonsense, Nick. Are we in a recession? And doesn't matter anyway. So he's hedging. So are we in a recession? So he can say no. But if you think we are, does that even matter? What are we talking about,
His
right?
framing alone shows his bias, and most people don't realize how propaganda works. The framing alone is everything. The fact that he phrased it as a debate.
Right.
Like, why is it phrased as, if I said, hey, yo, CJ, I disagree with you. You think the sky is blue, I think it's red. And imagine this motherfucker like, yeah, Nick and CJ having this debate over this color of the sky. That's not how you would frame it. You would say, yo, Nick is crazy, CJ is right. You see how he frames it in a position where the Democratic talking point can lead? But you can continue. I just want you guys to keep that in mind. We can let it play.
I mean,
one sentence. That was it, huh?
Yeah, that was it.
That was it, huh? That's all we paid you to do, right? Okay, let me rewind it so you can get the full context.
And a longtime columnist for the New York Times. Welcome to the program. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Can we dispense with the recession debate real quick? Are we in a recession, and does the term matter?
No, we aren't, and no, it doesn't. I mean,
one sentence. That was it, huh?
Yeah, that was it. It's none of the usual criteria that real experts use says that we're in a recession right now.
Real experts, so that if anybody else who's saying it is a recession, those aren't real experts. They always have these qualifiers in their propaganda, if you listen closely.
And what does matter?
The only thing about
Go ahead.
Keep playing.
I wasn't looking, my bad.
The economy is what it is. Jobs are abundant, although maybe the job market is weakening. Inflation is high, though maybe inflation is coming down. What does it matter whether you use the R word or not?
Certainly, the White House was trying to encourage reporters to use the technical definition, but certainly many are using a broader definition. So this is going to go on for a while, and I feel like everybody's playing their roles the way you would expect them to play their roles. What should the media's go ahead?
Yeah, I would say that this is especially vitriolic. I mean, I get, I've been in this business for a couple of decades and get lots of hate mail and see stuff. I've never seen anything as bad as this. The determination of a lot of people to say it's a recession is above and beyond anything I've ever seen.
What do you think is driving that? Just partisanship and polarization getting worse and worse every year, and thus this?
Yeah, it's partisanship. People want it. It's the Biden recession. They want their Biden recession. They're going to have it. Never mind the fact that that it in fact is not a recession in any technical sense.
Is it fair to say,
Nick, I don't understand how this shit. How are they saying this on TV and how are they not instantly losing credibility when they just say this stuff doesn't even make any sense? Like, no, we're not. I've never seen it, and I love this. And all the time I've been here, it's been 30 years. You've never seen that people are going ham at wanting to use the word recession. That's what you've never seen in 30 years. It's so absurd. So people just want to use it, even though it's not here, and people just want to call it a Biden recession, even though he's in power.
This is why I say we are the most propagandized country in the world. This is rich people telling the working class that struggling you think you're feeling is bullshit. I know you think you have criticism of Biden. I know you think you have criticism how we are running the economy. But you are a dum-dum. You better listen to us. You are okay. And if you are struggling, it's your fault. Now let me introduce these goons into reality. And I literally just pulled this up literally within a minute. just now. And I can find you guys countless more stories like this. Just two receipts real quick. And this is what the capitalists are denying is a recession. And I told you guys, I got different metrics. Like, our system has completely failed the working class. When you got like 60% of the country making $30,000 or less, that is a failed system. This is a headline. 58% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, including 30% of those earning $2,500,000 or more. 60%, almost 6 out of 10 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, here's another devastating headline. County homeless population jumped by 26% in this county. You have millions of people that have gone homeless ever since the start of the COVID pandemic. But the ruling class is telling you, they're not a recession, man. Go and vote blue. Stop complaining. Invest. Buy some more. Take some more debt. Let's bail out the corporations some more. You guys see how crazy our ruling class is? So I don't know if you had another story. We almost 2 hours in. Anything else you want to add, CJ?
No, I don't have any other stories. I mean, there's a bunch of stories, but we're gonna have to put them in another one. Go ahead.
I can save the story for tomorrow because I think the story may take longer. So
okay, then yeah, let's wait.
I don't know if you're going live tomorrow, but I may join you if you do. I can talk to you after this.
Tuesday we have RBN live.
Oh yeah, RBN live. Okay, yeah, RBN live.
Yeah, so yeah, we can do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, so all right, so I'll say the story. I'll say the last story for RBN live.
Yeah, and we'll kind of bring up
2 hours in, and also because Savvy interviewing Jesse Ventura as well. So
yeah, I just saw that. So let's so we're gonna be signing off here, but do you know what stories? Can you preview the stories you want? I know the story I want to cover. I just want to talk about the Charlamagne going on The View and talking about Liz Cheney. He put the rest of that nonsense. What were you gonna say?
I'm gonna talk about like more ways that Biden just like Trump. We can talk about this more tomorrow. Because I another prediction. Our predictions keep being proven true. I told you guys, Biden is not about ending genocide in Yemen. Bernie Sanders and the progressives, they all was praising them. And now Biden's sending more troops to Yemen, breaking their promise. It's crazy. So I'm going to break it down. I want to have more time. I want to do it quickly. So I have that and a few other stories we can talk about on RBN Live tomorrow. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you guys like, subscribe. And we have our Patreon, the link. That's also a great way to support the channel. So make sure you guys tune in for RBN Live tomorrow. And Savvy is live as well. So I wanted to make sure we don't stream too long watch it live as well. So
yeah. So
is there anything else you have?
Yeah, after this, go watch the Savvy interview with Jesse Ventura. Also, we are gearing up to help the community. So if you are able to contribute to our Patreon, that is the best way you can help. You can also support us through our mutual aid forever, either on YouTube, on Venmo or Cash App. Nick is working on getting us a RBN Venmo and Cash App. So once we get that, we'll start having you donate there. But we're starting to gear up for the community work. So we're reaching out to our community and asking for that support so we can support communities in several different states. I think it's going to be 5 different states we're going to be launching in. So please support if you're able to support. Patreon is also great. And also donate to our Venmo or a Cash App. Also, like this stream on your way out. Join our Substack. I'm just giving you all of our last minute things. Join our Substack. If you want to take off, Nick, you can take off. Join our Substack. I'm just giving everybody the lowdown.
Yeah, have a good one. See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Join our Substack so you can get updates from us. I'm sorry, you can get notifications when we go live, like this stream here. So I think I covered everything. I covered the Venmo and Cash App fundraising. I covered Substack. Also, reminder, if you're in LA and you're wanting to help out in person, physically able to help in person, volunteer. We're launching in LA our community outreach for RBN. Email us and in the subject line put LA RBN if you're interested. We're trying to put together of a group of maybe 15-20 people. That's like a street team, like an RBN LA street team. Let's go. This week we're going to, we're going to go feed and give out some clothes for people in the Nickerson Garden projects in Watts. So we're going to go to the Carmelitos in Long Beach, which is another like a public housing system. So all of this work is finally beginning, and we're excited to do it here at RBN. So I got to remember, I got to look here when there's no video up. So thank you for joining us on the Nick and CJ show. I'm going to end. Do I still have that ending video up here anywhere? While I'm here, I'll bring it up. I do want to end the right way. So we're going to end with a Black Panther Young Patriot video. I played it before. Haven't played it in a while, but this is how we're going to end today. This is the way we're going to need to coalition, and the Black Panthers and Young Patriots was a great example of that. So let me share my screen. This will be the end of the stream. We won't be coming back after this video, so enjoy the video and go check out the Sabby Sab stream right here, right now. Thank you for joining the Nick and CJ show on this Monday, August 1st, 2022. Here is our video.
Went to this community meeting with the Join organization.
Panthers are here. Panthers are here. For uptown. Okay. We come here with our hearts open. You cats to supervise us, where we can be of help to you. What do you want in your community? What do you want here? Are you afraid of you want to take berets off, man, or what, man?
There were a lot of suspicions about the Black Panthers, that they were gun-carrying terrorists.
It was a scenario that I had never been in before. I see some guys with Confederate flag patches. I was a little concerned.
The thing we got to deal with is concept of poverty, man. We got to reach the color thing. See,
the building's not fit for dogs to live in, but humans having to pay $144 a month for the thing. They sell the building, to new ownership. What we need is understanding among the people, coalition between the people to stick together and take them owners and put them over here in the lake somewhere.
Right on. Once you realize, man, that your house is funky with rats and roaches, same way a black dude's house is, once you realize that your brothers have been brutalized by the cop, the same way the west side and south side is, once you realize that you are paying taxes for the cops to whoop your ass, you're paying them, and you're paying them to kill you. Deal from there. The same things happen on the south
Bob
side.
Lee turned out to be quite an organizer. And he says, yeah, my name is Bobby Lee, but my real name is Robert E. Lee. And we all laughed. We said, you got to be kidding me.
Who's here that want to see this thing move? Yeah, man. Right on. But the first thing we talk about now is how we're going to organize. Where are we going to organize? And, we're all going to get run out of here eventually.
That was a good meeting. It was. It got everybody riled up.